Welcome back to another episode of the Dreamers Beware podcast, where resilience is required. In this episode today, I sit down with Mitch Williams, who is an alcoholic addict and is 8 years sober now. And, to be honest with you guys, before recording this episode, I, didn't really know too much about addiction or substance abuse. And what Mitch and I really talk about is, what is addiction? How do you describe it? When does addiction ultimately end for someone, and how do you classify addiction? And then Mitch ultimately goes into, his story, his life so far, his sobriety journey, and what he's learned along the way. And in the end, he ultimately offers just advice to anyone who, is going through any type of struggle, any type of adversity. And I personally learned so much through this episode. I'm super grateful for Mitch for sitting down and ultimately teaching me all this stuff. It was a great conversation. I enjoyed it a lot, and I think you guys will too. So hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, welcome back to another episode. Today I'm with a former teammate of mine. He is a alcoholic addict who is now, is that right to say? Is that okay to say?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. And he's 8 years sober now. Definitely has an inspirational story. I think a lot of people can learn from it. But Mitch, thank you for being here.
Thank you, dude. I appreciate you. I'm super hyped to be on here. And yeah, it's definitely appropriate to say alcoholic addict. We had that other podcast that we did for a little bit, and we would always start as that. And some people would be like, "Why are you being so mean to yourself?" And it's like, nah, it's just kind of like it's a whole thing to it. But yeah, no, it's all good.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of, so Mitch and I actually recorded this once, and not that I wasn't, so audio got messed up, first of all. That's not why that's why we're re-recording. But after it, I was thinking to myself, and I didn't feel like I felt like, I guess the best way to say it is I was beating around the bush. Like I almost felt like I was nervous or like sensitive to talk about this topic because, for one, like I don't fully understand it. I guess wasn't fully educated on it. And I think there's like an image that's created about alcoholics or addicts, like you see in like movies and everything. And like people don't want to talk about it. But in reality, it's like, college athletes or like a family person is someone who's dealing with these issues. And it's like, we can't hide from sharing or expressing, the idea behind it and the meaning and what it is. If that's true, if you think that's true, that's just kind of how I felt like from the first recording, personally for me, because like I said, I don't know much about it, and I didn't want to, not that I would offend you or offend anyone, but I didn't want to say the wrong things because I feel like people think it can be a touchy subject. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that, and it makes sense. It obviously comes from like a place of like you caring and like a compassionate spot. But for me, I'm a big proponent of like when it comes to recovery stuff, it's everybody's own journey,
Yeah.
And so my journey, I've chosen at points to be super open and at points to not be, and I've been on a streak, if you will, for the last couple of years of being like pretty open about it. So I would say like for today, like ask whatever, and I won't be offended. I think it's like an opportunity for growth for everybody, including us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. So I guess with that being said, what I wanted to start out with was just, can you describe what addiction is? I guess it doesn't have to be a definition, but like, how would you describe addiction?
Shit, okay. That's a big one. I love that. Okay. Well, so I'm actually in school right now, which is really cool. And I feel really blessed to be in school in a master's program, pursuing a degree to be an LMFT, which is a licensed marriage and family therapist, which is just like the full thing to be a therapist, basically. So I've had the opportunity to actually learn more from like a clinical standpoint, what the perception on addiction and substance use is. And I've also worked in treatment for the last 2.5 years at the residential level. So I've had like the on the ground experience, and now over the last year, I've had the book experience, and then I have the lived experience, So that's been really, really cool to combine all of the lenses. And so my answer would kind of be like, it depends on who you ask and who's like representing each of those fields, like lived experience for addiction, working in addiction, and then the clinical aspect. So I think for me, I could talk. This could be the whole podcast, honestly.
Gotcha.
What is addiction? From the just quickly from like a clinical perspective to my current understanding, there's a diagnosis called substance use disorder, and that's active using. And so when people come into treatment, they'll have substance use disorder, and then whatever use it is. Addiction, actually, the word addiction isn't in the DSM, which is the manual for all disorders. So clinically, addiction is not a word that's really used. That word is used more. I mean, it is used, but it's not. You can't put it on someone's case, which is really, really interesting because basically the clinical perspective is while you're actively using, you're suffering from substance use. So if we can stop the using, you no longer have that disorder.
Okay.
From the 12-step perspective, which is my thing, my jam, it's a lifelong disease, if you will, or spiritual malady, if you want to really get into it. And so when you stop the using, for my perspective, it's not over. You know what I mean? Like for me, I'm 8.5 years sober, and it's been told to me really early on, the only way to beat addiction or to beat your whatever is to die sober. So for me, that's kind of like the journey I'm on.
Gotcha.
So you can see how that conflicts with the clinical perspective, because they wouldn't say that. And I had a conversation in my first semester with a professor about this, where he would say that I'm not suffering from substance use or addiction. So I don't know if I answered that, but that's
because my kind of thought how I thought about it, or how I think about it, is like, this is not that it's a stupid way, but okay. So I guess an example is like, I like to play video games, right? One would say like, I play a lot of video games and I'm addicted to video games.
Yeah.
So just kind of figuring, like I said, I wanted to ask, but like that difference between like struggling with that substance abuse versus just like, I don't know how to, like, just having the willpower to like make a healthy decision, if that makes sense.
That's huge. That's huge. So like diving more into it, what you're saying, like clinical perspective would say it's a maladaptive coping skill. So like, if you're addicted to video games, you're playing video games a lot, you're getting dopamine from that. You become attached to that behavior. I play a lot of video games too. And so they would judge impairment levels based on your using, if you will. So like if you stop showing up to work because you're playing video games, if you stopped eating, if you stopped sleeping, what's your level of impairment? That's how they're going to judge the level of like addiction that you're going through. And so like when it comes to like substances and stuff, that's also how they're gauging it, like not showing up to work, all the things that I was just listing, and they look at it that way. So like when you're using drugs or alcohol, just kind of assessing the level of use. And then there's degrees of it too, like moderate, stuff like that.
Yeah. So, and then into that, kind of, when do you classify it as like substance abuse or addiction? Like, is there like, say you have to use it like 7 days and then you're addicted?
So I love this. I love that. Okay. I love that.
Okay.
So 12-step perspective, it's a problem when you say it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like the second you come into a meeting and you like be like, hey, I have a problem. I can't control it myself. I need help. That's the day that you have a problem. You feel me?
Yeah.
The clinical perspective, kind of similar. If you're coming into treatment, you're obviously seeking help. A lot of people aren't willingly going into treatment, like either through the hospitals or jail. But for that, it's like there are criteria to meet a diagnosis.
Okay.
From the clinical perspective, and I think there's 11 criteria, and you have to hit, I think, like 4 or 5 to get the baseline diagnosis. And then if you hit 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you get a higher level of diagnosis.
Gotcha. But I guess to get into kind of your story now, so I guess going back to when you were young, I mean, before I guess you got into different substances or whatever, was there like anybody telling you before that point, like, hey, like stay away from drugs or stay away from alcohol? Was there like, because I know, like, say in like school when you're young, they have like, people come in and say like, don't smoke and all that kind of stuff. Did you have any of that, or did you kind of just ignore that, or what was your mindset with that?
Yeah, I think I had like I think I was like one of the last groups. Did you have the Dare bus that
Yes,
would pull
yes,
up in your
yes.
school?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so the Dare bus pulled up. I remember that. I remember like making fun of that. And there's like a lot of studies on like how a lot of that stuff isn't super effective. But I think we also had someone came into our school and gave a talk about it. But to be honest, I'm a big fan of like just to be real about it. It's unfortunately a lot of those things to raise awareness are good for schools like middle school and high school. Um, and it's good to draw back on if someone does end up like having a problem. They can be like, "Oh, I remember this guy was or this person was talking about it."
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't really care.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, like
Cool.
I didn't see it as a problem truly until probably college, and it had been a problem since like my freshman year of high school.
Yeah. All right. But
So there's a
yes.
couple of years there where I was just completely ignorant to it, and I thought also the group I was with was doing it,
Okay. Yeah.
at similar levels. So it was like hyper normalized.
So like you just said, you got into it because the group you were with was doing it, right? That's kind
Yeah,
of how.
yeah,
Was was it like an everyday thing early on, or was it like kind of like the new thing to do where you would like on a weekend or something? I don't know. Like what kind of steps were like being taken where it was like starting to become that issue early on?
sure. I remember most everyone remembers like their first drink in the program or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
It was one of my buddies in Maryland. We like snuck in and stole his dad's liquor from his liquor cabinet and then filled the bottle up with water to make it look like it wasn't missing. And then we filled a Gatorade bottle and then we went back to my house and we drank it all and we just started calling people. This is in seventh grade, I think, seventh grade summer or something. Started calling people and being like, "We're drunk, we're drunk." So it started pretty like curious and
Yeah.
just like just like a kid being
A kid,
an
yeah.
idiot or whatever.
Yeah.
But I remember like loving it a lot, like
Okay.
probably too much. Like I was like,
Yeah.
that was really dope. I want to try it again. And so I think it started with stuff like that, like stealing, seeing it, and
Hmm.
then parties in like eighth grade and stuff where it would be there already, like alcohol mostly. And then I would say going into high school, that's when it was like started smoking weed too and drinking, and then started seeing some of those other drugs, like party
Yeah.
drugs,
Yeah.
start to populate. And then I think like towards junior and senior year, multiple times a week, like or being like high at school and stuff like that.
Yeah. We're like you like the guy that was doing it, what it's like talking
Yeah,
about like
I
everyone was
actually,
like, "Oh, like Mitch is like that guy." Like, "Yeah, like let's go, Mitch." Were you that guy or were you like more of a reserved one at the start?
uh, I think by my senior year or junior year, yeah, our whole group was like trying to be
Okay.
the cool kids,
Yeah. Yeah.
But there was like multiple pockets that were doing that too. So we would like all get together.
Really?
The whole area kind of like it was super normalized to drink and like use drugs with parents, which is really crazy.
Yeah, that's right.
But it just was. So like we didn't really know anything was wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
No, yeah.
it was probably like, should I be fucked up going to school or going to swim practice? Probably not, but like
No.
I am. you know?
Yeah,
Uh,
was your mom, did your mom know about like kind of this substance use early on, or did
um,
she like try to help early? I mean, obviously she tried to help, but did
yeah,
she?
so it was just my mom and I think I put her through while I was using, put her through some serious hell. Like, I think she knew, but then didn't want to know. I was also lying, very manipulative, all those things. And so, uh, she didn't like fully know until I think I went to like treatment, like like the full extent of everything. She
Yeah.
definitely knew I had a problem for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, so yeah, like how I know you we're swimmers. We competed or we were teammates. But just kind of talk about, I guess, using substances with like doing a sport at the same time. Like kind of what was that like in like the process of getting into college and being recruited?
Yeah. Well, so we talked about this last time. I think it's important. Um, like so, I had other behavioral issues too. Like
Yeah.
got kicked out of two middle schools for behavior, and then uh, just funny enough, and I know in the swimming world. He's huge. Was on NBAC with like Michael Phelps and Bob Bowman and all that, and was actually kicked off that team. And so like those sort of things like were tied into the substance stuff, just like behavior wise. And I saw like I think in like 8th grade or 7th grade, like really, really stupid fast, like top 10 in a couple events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was swimming with Connor Kalish, Chase's brother. I would see Chase all the time. Michael was there, Katie Hoff, like around that level of swimming.
Yeah.
And so I like nosedived off that basically as soon as I started prioritizing other things. And then after I got kicked off that team, I switched to my high school club team, and I kind of got it together, kind of didn't. But we talked about this last time too. It's like I got into Denison off of a sophomore year mile time, I think. And then I like kind of checked out my junior and senior year. I don't think I really went a best time that much the next 2 years.
Gotcha.
So I was pretty much stagnant, if not going downwards by the time I got to Denison. And yeah, so it definitely, and then my whole freshman year, I didn't go a best time. So it was impacting a lot.
So you said obviously that like you enjoyed it, but was there something deeper to it? Like, were you like hiding from something, if that makes sense? Or was it just you just liked using?
Yeah. Well, this kind of ties in, this is a good question. It ties into like the first question you had. I think like people that struggle with substance abuse or alcoholism, addiction, whatever you want to call it, oftentimes there's a lot of like trauma, perceived trauma, feeling different than other people, complex trauma. There's like, it can be in your genes too. Like I have a family history of substance use. There's a tons of things that go into it, you know? And, I think that, when I became kind of like a slave to it, when I noticed like I like had to do these things was in college, where I was like, oh, I have to smoke. I have to drink this much. I have to, just to be like, okay.
Yeah.
That's when the anxiety of like, dude, might be a problem started to like grow and grow and grow. But still I would like shove that down with like, you know, another drink, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was really starting to bother me that freshman year, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you go through your freshman year, obviously, still an issue, but what were kind of the last couple steps, or the last where it was like, all right, like you said, I have a problem. And then what was the steps into rehab from there? Yeah.
I got away pretty much scot-free through high school in terms of like police and stuff. A lot of close calls, a lot of evading arrest, a lot of laying in bushes. By the time I got to college, that luck kind of started to run out. Like I got, like I spit on one of the campus security at the sizzle, or at the pre-freshman party. So, and I also broke my arm that summer getting in a fight with a wall. And so I went and met Greg before school even started, and I had like a broken arm and had already been written up. And then we got written up for smoking in the rooms off campus. There was like a close call DUI. It really was a DUI, but I ended up getting away with it, which is really crazy. Ended up like stalling on the side of the road for a long time and blowing a 007, and you have to blow a 008 to get arrested. So, I mean, I've had millions of instances of God in those sorts of situations. But what ended up happening was that summer going into sophomore year, I lived by myself. I was on probation. I found out like a big thing with my family situation, and found out that I had like 11 half brothers and half sisters that summer. And then that tripped me out crazy, dude. So that's when everything kind of like skyrocketed for me. Got into a fight with a teammate coming back. And then I remember going into the office with Greg. I had been written up like multiple times, and it was typically like a 3-strike policy. And I was talking to my roommate at the time, and I was like, I'm not going to get kicked off, because we had won a national championship freshman year. My ego was like 10 billion. Yeah. and he kicked me off. And I would say that action, honestly, with all the other things that had happened in my life at that point, was like the thing that like pushed me over the edge. Because when I lost swimming, um, I mean that was all I had really. That was like my comfortable spot. The sport of swimming, being in water, racing, all those things were massively therapeutic for me. So in the team, so to lose that really forced me to be like, okay, what's going on? Because
Mm-hmm.
the dean of students also reached out and was like, hey, we're going to kick you out if you do another bad thing, basically. And I think I only made it a couple weeks after getting kicked off the team before I decided for like 10 minutes that I should go to rehab. Yeah.
So what's like a day in rehab like? Like, what do you do? Is that stupid to
Yeah.
ask?
No, that's fire. It's actually so cool too because I work in the exact environment that I was in basically for myself. Um, so both places, the place I went and where I work, are highly structured. It's like 24/7 care, so there's always staff there. You have an individual therapist, group therapist, a bunch of other people there. The place I went, there was 30 people. Where I currently work, there's only 6 clients at a time. But you have like in the morning. At the place I went to, there was like a morning meditation and walk. Then there was like a morning house meeting for everybody where we would go over the schedule. Then we would break off into group therapy, into individual groups of like 4 or 5. Then we'd have like a break. Then there'd be a huge group, like a psycho ed group. Then lunch, then another big group. Then probably you'd get pulled for an individual session. So like I'm talking like from like 7 to probably like 9 p.m. There's something scheduled pretty much.
Is that
Very
like
regimented like that.
all like 7 days a week, or do you have like a
Yeah,
day?
7 days a week. Yeah,
Gotcha. All right.
yeah.
And then what's kind of your mindset once you get into like,
Dude,
uh,
I'll never forget. I was pretty messed up at the airport flying down there, and I
yeah,
ended up getting, it was a spot in South Carolina, and I ended up getting there at like 1 a.m. And the first thing they do, which is super normalized for me now, is they do bag search. So they search all your stuff and everything. So I met this lady at like 1 a.m. for the intake, and she just like opened up all my bags over the floor, went through everything, and then I signed a million papers, and then I went up to my room, and I had a roommate who was this like 65-year-old cowboy, like tanned, like he was leather tan, like had just like lived outside.
yeah.
Really, really dope dude. I wish I remembered his name. I have it somewhere, but I was terrified, bro. I was
I
20.
can imagine,
I
bro.
was 20, so I'm like 185 right now. When I went to rehab, I was 120.
Damn.
Yeah, bro. Like I was like strung out
Yeah.
basically. Like, and my hair. Actually, I had long hair, but then Carson shaved my head before I went to rehab.
All
So
right.
I pulled up like, bro. I pulled up shaved head by a friend, so it didn't look. It wasn't the
Doesn't look
best
great.
shave.
Yeah.
And I'm like 120 pounds, and I meet this dude at like 1 a.m. This old cowboy, and I was just like terrified, bro. I remember I slept that night. There was like these bars on the bed.
Yeah.
Not like we were locked in, but like
Yeah.
the bed frame.
Okay. Yeah.
I slept looking at him holding on to the bars
Damn.
for like comfort, bro. That's how like scared I was. He ended up being like the dopest dude of all time and like gave me tons of cigarettes, so that was cool.
There you go.
But my first week there, dude, I did not want to be there. I was finding ways to not relate to others. You know, I was like, I don't have that. That person's life's fucked up. Look how fucked up that person is. You know, like refusing to look at me. And then
Mhm.
I think about the second, I also flipped a table in the med room.
Shit.
Yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
was like, but I think around 2 weeks, I started to like break down. I started to like hear more things that I related to.
Okay.
We were going to meetings at night, so that was cool. And the group there that ended up coming together was really dope because I was like one of the youngest, but I had a lot of people like kind of mentoring me
Yeah.
in a weird way or people that had been through treatment, and they'd be like, dude, you should stop now because this is where it goes, you know?
Yeah.
Those stories were like profoundly impactful to me at the time. Had I not heard that from them, I would have, because like a big issue with people getting sober that young or in their teenage years or early 20s or in their 20s is like, there's no way I have a problem, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
hear that voice is so strong.
Strong.
It's like, I'm 20 years old. How could I have a problem already?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No.
Um, So to hear that from others was so, 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 so helpful.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I said this last time, and you said it in your podcast, but I just think you said you were sober before you were able to legally have your first drink, which is
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
But did you have any like crazy like withdrawal symptoms or anything like that? Like,
I had some pretty crazy mood swings, dreams, like sweating and stuff like that. But I never made it to, thankfully, to like any of the super hardcore things that like really, really suck to detox from.
Yeah.
And I also wasn't drinking like 24/7 all day, because that's also pretty gnarly to detox from. So thankfully, nothing too crazy.
Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so I guess you get out of rehab. Does school start up again? What time of the year is it?
Yeah. So my sobriety date is November 11th, 2016. I went to rehab on November 10th. I think my first couple of years of sobriety, I had my sobriety date as November 10th, my first day at rehab. But I switched it to the second day because that was like the first day I was fully clean. So I was there for 35 days. While I was there, my mom moved from Maryland to Ohio. And then I did a step down program, which is like a intensive outpatient, where I stayed at my new house in Ohio, but would go in for programming similar to the inpatient one, or the residential one I was at. So I did that. So that brought me to around January-ish is when I finished treatment. So I had medically withdrawn from school.
Okay.
So I couldn't get back into school until the next fall. So I just worked at a restaurant like 5 days a week or whatever, 6 days a week, and played video games. Yeah, like I went to meetings, played video games, and worked at this restaurant for basically 8 months. And throughout that process, I met with Greg. First, just he and I. And I can't emphasize enough how much Greg has been a massive role in my sobriety and life, especially early, because that's when it's like the most fragile.
Yeah.
So he really stepped up and became like very much a big father figure, mentor to me through all that.
Yeah.
So I met with him, and then I met with all the coaches individually, ended up meeting with the team, talking to you guys, and then was allowed back on the team and back into school, which was pretty sick.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's, when is like, so say if you're in rehab, like, is there like, I don't know if you've talked about this, but a process you have to go through, or like when can you like leave rehab, or is it just up to you in general? Like, is there like a test? Not a test. It's not a test, but like, when can you say, oh, like I'm done, like with rehab?
Yeah. That's a dope question. So, and this is another question I could ramble on for the 2 hours about. So insurance plays a big role in treatment.
Okay. Yeah.
Fortunately and unfortunately. So most insurances where we're at today approve 30 days of residential treatment, which is good. That's a good amount. Well, maybe I shouldn't say most. A lot of them do, which is good. So while you're in treatment, they are doing notes on you, the company, where you're at. And so that gets sent back to insurance. And so your insurance will evaluate your progression while you're in treatment. And they actually decide most of the time if you need more time, like more than 30 days, or less time. And I've had instances where I'm working, or when I was in treatment, someone was there for 2 weeks and his insurance deemed him good to go. This is actually a dude I got really close with. His name was Chris. He was 21. I've talked about him on my podcast too. His insurance deemed him ready to go. They cut him off at 2 weeks. They put him on a bus back to Memphis, and he OD'd and died in a bus stop on the way back. So that's a really, really unfortunate. I mean, that story still really fucks me up, honestly.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff happens every day, unfortunately, though.
Gotcha.
So some people, if you have better insurance, you can get more time. If you don't, you might not get any time. And there are state-funded treatment centers, but they're state-funded. The staff there do the best they can, but there's not much money there. So I would say just the short end question is typically people get 30 days.
Okay,
but,
gotcha. So yeah.
And then you're cut off whether you're ready to go or not.
No. All right.
It's time to fly.
So then your first year back at Denison would have been, that was my freshman year. And I said this last time, but I remember my freshman orientation, they brought all the athletes in, and there was like a bunch of student athletes. I mean, you were up there. I don't know if all of them were dealing with, had substance abuse history, but I remember you were up there and Chaz was like, yeah, like that guy's a swimmer. And then that's when you explained it. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know this guy, but like, he's definitely been through, some shit. But what was like, I can't imagine it's probably hard, but what was the first year back in that college setting like?
Crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Crazy. Like, so I work in treatment. I'm in school to be a therapist. I would never recommend a client to go back. Like, I would never recommend a college level client to go back to school that fast. Well, maybe not never, but like it definitely is a hard environment to be in, especially like the drinking, and it's college.
Yeah.
It's also where I had a lot of habits developed. I had a lot of areas where I used there. So a lot of triggers. It was really hard. I was blessed. Kamani is one of my best friends. And he was my roommate that year coming back. And we lived in the sober dorms, which was helpful. He didn't have anything in the room, which was amazing. But like, there were some nights where like, on the weekends where I would just like lock myself in the room and play video games or something like that, It was a big struggle. I had a lot of eyes on me too, whether it was like the team or the coaches or the school. Because I think when I got back on campus, I'm like, I had to be like 8 months sober, something like that. So I wasn't even a year sober when I was back at school, which is crazy. Like, it's a miracle that I didn't use or anything, but it was hard. But I also had like immense gratitude and support. The flip side was like tons of love and support from you guys.
Yeah.
And so that like really, like you guys, like I really owe the team, I think, and the coaching staff to like they carried me through college.
Yeah. No, I tell everyone all the time, and not to hype up Denison, but just that team, man. Like that's the thing I miss the most about it, because like literally, like we're brothers. Like we love each other, and it's like we'll do anything to help each other out. And I think that's great that obviously you had those people behind you. But yeah, so you get, I guess, your first year, whether it's your first year or second year sober, clean mark, right? And like I said, you get your coin, and what's going through your head, I guess, those first couple of years when you get that coin, and are you like happy? Are you, I don't know, are you angry or sad for some reason?
Yeah. The 1 year coin was like really, really, really insane. Really, really dope. I think, so there's this concept of a dry alcoholic and like someone that's working a program from the 12-step lens. So like a dry alcoholic, and this is, I don't want to upset anybody that listening or anything like that, but sometimes this can get a little bit hazy. But for me, I need to work a program. I need to go to meetings. I need to be a sponsor. I need to have a sponsor. I need to have that. That stuff like really gives me life, keeps me sober, keeps me connected.
Yeah.
Those years at Denison, I was not connected really to a 12-step program. And so because of that, I had shame around some of my sobriety, because like I wasn't doing this, or I wasn't doing that, or I wasn't working the steps, or I wasn't, there was a mixture of like pride that I'm staying sober, but also like I would go to meetings here and there, but I wasn't really connecting with them, because like the meetings in Granville was like these old cats, bro.
Yeah,
like, and it was just hard for me to like I can do it now, but I hear a lot sometimes when people go to meetings and it's like everybody in there is 20, 30 years older than you. Yeah. It's going to be hard to feel comfortable there. It just is. And so it was for me too. And I also didn't want to do it straight up. Like a part of the process of getting sober and staying sober is like fully admitting that you have a problem, and fully admitting that you can't return to that. And so that's a great question, because I think my year 1, 2, and 3, for a long time, I had shame around it, because it was like, you didn't earn these coins.
Gotcha.
I stayed sober through the whole thing. Yeah. But I was like, I wasn't acting sober necessarily. It was still kind of like, lying, cheating, stealing, kind of like acting
Yeah.
similar to
Okay.
how I was when I was using. And so, yeah, it was kind of a mixed bag of emotions, I would say.
Gotcha. Now,
Yeah.
how is I guess you're like I said 8 years sober now. How has it changed over the years? So like, are you proud
Yeah.
proud now? I assume you're
Oh
proud
yeah.
now.
Yeah, I'm proud through the whole thing. You know, I feel entirely blessed, and I owe the entire thing to my version of my higher power. You know,
Yeah.
spirituality and God and higher power is like a huge part of my life now. It's
Gotcha.
like my main connection, my main thing. And so I see that having worked through my all areas of my life, whether I was like relying on it or not, or contacting it or not. Um, and when I moved to California after school, I actually had a plan to start smoking weed again, kind of. I mean, I
Okay.
was like playing around with the idea of it in my head. And I was around 4 years sober. And when I moved to LA, it was still COVID time. And I was like, couldn't find meetings. And I was like, dude, fuck this. I'm just going to go to, I'll never forget, bro. I found a dispensary down the street from this church. I
Yeah.
was like, if this meeting isn't happening, because I kept going to meetings that weren't happening because of COVID. Like it would
COVID. Yeah.
say it was happening, but it was
Mm-hmm.
actually closed. I was like, if this one isn't happening, I'm just going to go to the dispensary after. I go to this meeting on Tuesday at 7:30. I walk in. There's tons of dudes in there. It's a men's meeting. And dude, that meeting ended up being my home group. I still go there every single Tuesday. I never went to the dispensary, thankfully.
Yeah.
Found a sponsor in there, and that meeting like blew up my life, dude.
Gotcha.
Like, got found a sponsor in there. Got like I have sponsees now from that. Just got fully into the program, worked the steps, all that stuff, and my life like kind of exploded after that, which is pretty cool. Um, but so my recovery now is very 12-step heavy. I would say much different than how it was when I was at school.
Yeah. No, I want to bring up a point because I was listening. So I guess first, you have your own podcast, Present Moment Recovery, right? So I'll first just explain what that is. I know you kind of haven't had an episode in a little bit, but just explain to people what that is.
Yeah, we're on a year break. We're on a
It's
year
all
long
good.
break. Yeah, no, dude, that's why I'm so hyped for you, dude, because I think you're super natural at this from what I've seen so far. So I'm really excited for you. As a by the way,
Thanks, bro.
we started the podcast like um, shit. I started an Instagram, I think, my senior year, COVID, and I was like bored at home.
Yeah.
Actually, I was living in Greg's Airbnb. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
And that was actually so fucking, I really love that. Started an Instagram, Present Moment Recovery, and was posting like daily
Mm-hmm.
quotes or motivation, whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it. And so I just started doing that. And then when I moved to California, I was like, I should make it a video or make a podcast, whatever. And then I found this buddy also from Denison, Andrew. He had just gotten sober at the time. I think he was like a year sober. And Zoe Whalen, Swim Team
Yeah.
Connection,
Uh-huh.
put us together. We hopped on one phone call. And I was like, yo, I've been thinking about starting a podcast, but I'm too scared to do it by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was like, let's do it.
Yeah,
So, bro,
sweet.
we like bought Shure mics and webcams or whatever, and
Yeah.
got a Zoom
That's awesome.
subscription. And bro, we just started ripping it. And that was like, that was so much fun. And the whole goal was to just open awareness and positive messaging around recovery, I think,
Yeah.
and bringing people on to share their stories. So hopefully I return to that. I think I will. I mean, it's still there. And yeah, it was really, really dope.
Yeah. And so my point I want to make with that is because I was listening to just kind of clips you made of that kind of before we hopped on here again. And you made this point about it's like learning to love others.
Helping others to help yourself or something.
Yes. Yes. Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. So kind of like what was how were you able to like love yourself again, if that makes any sense?
No, that's fire. I love that, dude. You're hitting all the big stuff for recovery, honestly. Huge thing of recovery is be of service to others. So that idea being like, and 12-step lens looks at it kind of like the disease of addiction is a disease of self in a way. And so a cure for a disease of self would be to help someone else to get outside of self. And so I think that quote, like the idea of like loving others or helping others as a way to heal yourself is a huge thing in the 12-step lens, and I've found it to be massively beneficial to me. And so I think it actually has really healed me through working in treatment or working with other addicts or alcoholics in my day to day. And also part of that podcast, bro, like people would reach out that I haven't heard from forever, people I didn't know, tons of like out of the left center, out of left field or whatever, like someone I haven't talked to since middle school would be like, hey, I'm struggling, or my friend's struggling, or my mom's struggling. So that was a beautiful thing to just either be there for them, share space with them, or point them in a direction that I think might help.
Yeah, no, that's so. Yeah, and you helped me. One of the guys I swam with was dealing with some alcohol stuff, and obviously grateful to have known you and to have met you, because you were really the only person I felt like going to who gave me advice to kind of help my teammate at that moment. But going into that, how can, like, say me or someone else, like, spread the awareness of addiction or help out people with addiction?
Yeah. That's a good question. I think, like, I really do think that older stigma of like, oh, it's just like a homeless dude under a bridge, I think that is starting to be worn away more, I think, because there's a lot more people being open and honest about it, like celebrities talking about it and stuff. And so that does a lot to destigmatize the idea of it being this like gross thing. And even when I got sober when I was in 2016, there was still like, keep it to yourself. That stuff really bothered me a lot. So what can other people do? I guess just like sharing like love and compassion, and if someone that's in recovery is sharing it with you, it means that they really trust you and probably have like a lot of love for you. So it's very much something that gets battled by community, you know?
Yeah.
It's very much something that is really, really hard to do by yourself. And so surrounding and making people that are in recovery feel a part of is a big part of it, I think. And anything you can do to make someone feel included, if that makes sense, or feel a part of,
Yeah, because like I said earlier, I think with what I was saying about when we recorded the first time is like I said, there's this image I feel like that is created about like addicts and alcoholics, and it's like, I guess you could say is a scary image, and it's like people are like, oh, like stay away from that, like whatever. And I think like that's kind of the issue, is like we need to like have people like you or other people like share their stories to kind of help people realize, like, you know, it's not bad. Like these people are, you know, they're going through something, but again, they can get to that next point and get through it.
Yeah.
Which, you know, like I said, I don't, the first time I just felt like I was afraid to ask questions. But what would be your advice to someone who is on, or going through that process, or sorry, better way to ask it. What would be your advice to someone who's doesn't have to be a substance abuse issue, but like say they could be going through, you know, some type of any adversity, really? What would be your advice to them?
Yeah, whether it's like substance abuse or whatever you're going through, I think I'm a huge proponent of community, like community in any fashion, like a team, a hobby, school, job, stuff like that. Like I think like mental health and substance abuse, addiction, all of these ailments that humans go through, you know? Yeah, I mean, everyone struggles through some sort of mental health, 1000%. I think we could put everybody in that, at least to some degree. I think that not feeling alone is a huge thing, you know? Like not feeling alone is probably like, if you're going through any of that stuff alone, it makes it like 1,000 times worse. And I think we as like a society, if you will, are doing better about being more open and honest about it, like therapy and talking about it and stuff like that. But I think to jump back to like the identifying as an addict and alcoholic, I feel blessed to have had also flipping the narrative of like it's a bad thing, you know, anxiety, depression, alcoholism, addiction. Dude, I feel blessed to come on here and be like, I'm an addict and alcoholic.
Yeah.
If anything, being an addict and alcoholic made my life like fucking huge, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
I
that makes
feel
sense. Yeah.
massively blessed. I feel lucky to have instant community. You know, like I can go to a meeting right after this and relate to 15 people the second I walk in.
Again. Yeah. Uh-huh.
There should be more. I think there should be more sort of groups like that outside of the 12-step lens, you know, for more sort of community fostering and stuff like that, because it's rare. I think there's a lot of people that like go through these things by themselves and don't talk about it. And
Yeah.
I feel for them because that sucks.
Yeah. No. But last question here, but what's kind of your goal for the rest of the year or the next few years staying sober? Do you have any goals in mind? Anything you want to accomplish?
Goals, dude. I'm super busy. I'll say blessed like 10,000 times. You know, I work in an amazing place, and I'm in school right now. So my main thing right now, I would say, is continue to nerd out in school. I think I have like another year and a half ish of school, and then I'll be finished with that and be like AMFT, which is like right before you get licensed. So I think just like continuing to the next year. I mean, I just moved into a really awesome apartment, which has been really, really cool, in a spot that I really love. So just keep pushing along, you know,
There you go.
keep
Yeah.
doing all that. Yeah, I think, I don't know, keep
Yeah, that's
living.
good. Yeah.
I'm a big present moment guy.
Yeah.
And so I try to, it's dope for me to have goals. I do have goals, but I do try to redirect myself to like, oh, what can I do right now? I can talk to Versace on the pod.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, anyone that's interested, go check out Present Moment Recovery. What's your what are you on Instagram? Just Mitch Williams on Instagram if you want to check
Yeah,
out Mitch.
Mitch Williams. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you, Mitch. This has been dope. I really enjoyed this conversation. I think opened up kind of my eyes, my mindset a little bit more just about addiction and just what I can do. So thank you.
Yeah. No, dude, thank you, man. This has been awesome. I think the second time's the charm for sure. This one was really
Right.
fire. I appreciate you, and good luck on. I've been seeing all the clips and the
Yeah,
videos.
bro. Been trying.
I'm excited to see you on Joe Rogan. That's going to be so hype.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
One
love
day.
it, bro.
But
That's right.
yeah. All right. Bye, everyone.
Peace.